5 former presidents call for unity, bipartisanship and pay tribute to each other at historic hurricane fundraiser, but they all avoid mentioning Trump, who has to make do with a short-a presidential love-in took place on a stage in Texas last night as former presidents Jimmy Carter, George H.W. and George W. Bush, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama gathered to raise money for the areas ravaged by the latest hurricanes. The former commanders-in-chief heaped praise on each other despite their political differences and called for unity and bipartisanship in tackling the issues facing areas trying to recover in the southeastern U.S. as well as Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. However, one man was notably absent from the gathering, the sitting president Donald Trump. It is unclear whether Trump was invited to the event, but he did not take to the stage and instead recorded a short video message that was shown earlier in the evening. In it, Trump praised the work of his predecessors he called some of America's finest public servants. His kind words were not met with kindness in return. None of the other politicians addressed Trump in their speeches and refused to mention him altogether. It comes after George W. Bush caused a stir with his comments targeting Trumpism. He was joined on stage with his father George H.W., who at 93 appeared in a wheelchair at the event. The concert featured the country music band Alabama, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer soul man Sam Moore, gospel legend Yolanda Adams and Texas musicians Lyle Lovett and Robert Earl Keen. Carter was the first to address the audience. He touted Americans' volunteerism while urging the public to donate to Habitat for Humanity, an organization that helps build homes for the poor. Clinton also addressed the crowd, praising his predecessor in the Oval Office, George H.W. Bush. When President George H.W. Bush was trying to persuade the Congress to pass one of his noblest endeavors, the Americans with Disabilities Act, he said, "Our problems are great, but the heart of America is greater," Clinton said. "That's what we're here to celebrate. We were all citizens, even us, before we were politicians. After our time was up, we became citizens again. We've been volunteering since before our Constitution, when Benjamin Franklin organized the first volunteer fire department in Philadelphia. Our neighbors and our friends have gotten an enormous amount of sweat equity from all these volunteers and a lot of money. But make no mistake about it, these were grievous storms back to back. There is still work to be done in Texas and in Florida, and our friends in Puerto Rico and the American Virgin Islands have only begun to dig their way out of what could be still a calamitous disaster, but it can be a new beginning if we just do what we ought to do and prove that the heart of America, without regard to race or religion nor political party, is greater than our problems." The next to address the crowd was Obama, who received the loudest ovation from the audience. Obama said that the storms and the response brought out the best in America. "All of us on this stage tonight could not be prouder of the response of Americans," the 44th president said. "When they see their neighbors, when they see their friends, when they see strangers in need, Americans step up." As heartbreaking as the tragedies that took place here in Texas and in Florida and in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands have been, what we've also seen in the spirit of America at its best. When ordinary people step up and do extraordinary things, the One America appeal is part of that process. Obama also praised George H.W. Bush, calling him an outstanding American, somebody who has always shown grace and character and courage and served America nobly throughout the years. "We are so proud to be here with him today," Obama said. "He sets an example for all of us, as does First Lady Barbara Bush." Bush's son, George W. Bush, spoke briefly about his father, saying that the audience loves him. Those in attendance clapped in thunderous applause and gave the 41st president a standing ovation. Earlier on Saturday, Trump recorded a video greeting that avoids his past criticism of the former presidents and called them some of America's finest public servants. In the video, the sitting president said Americans pray for those who lost their homes or their livelihoods. "In the aftermath of these terrible storms, the American people have done what they do best. We came together, we helped one another, and through it all we remain resilient. "We came together as one as we rushed to the aid of Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands," the president said. "Through this effort, all 5 living former presidents are playing a tremendous role in helping our fellow citizens recover." To Presidents Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush and Barack Obama, Melania and I want to express our deep gratitude for your tremendous assistance. This wonderful effort reminds us that we truly are one nation under God, all unified by our values and our devotion to one another, Trump said. On Thursday, George W. Bush decried bullying and prejudice while defending immigrants and trade in a New York speech that appeared to be a sweeping, thinly veiled critique of Trump. "It's the old guard in revolt against Trump and Trumpism. This is the battlefield right now," said Douglas Brinkley, a prolific presidential biographer and history professor at Rice University in Houston. "There's no question that having an ex-president from the same party squaring off on a sitting president, that's not something George W. Bush relishes doing. The last time the 5 were together was in 2013, when Obama was still in office, at the dedication of George W. Bush's Presidential Library in Dallas." There is precedent for former presidents joining forces for post-disaster fundraising. George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton raised money together after the 2004 South Asia tsunami and Hurricane Katrina the next year. Clinton and George W. Bush combined to seek donations after Haiti's 2011 earthquake. "It's certainly a triple, if not a home run, every time," said Brandon Rottinghaus, a political science professor at the University of Houston. "Presidents have the most powerful and prolific fundraising base of any politician in the world. When they send out a call for help, especially on something that's not political, they can rake in big money." Amid criticism that his administration was initially slow to aid storm-ravaged Puerto Rico, Trump accused island leaders of poor leadership and later tweeted that electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes, while saying that Federal Emergency Management Agency, first responders and military personnel wouldn't be able to stay there forever. But Rottinghaus said those attending Saturday's concert were always going to be viewed more favorably, since polling consistently shows that any ex-president is seen as less polarizing than the current president. "They can't get away from the politics of the moment," he said of current White House occupants. "Ex-presidents are able to step back and be seen as the nation's grandfather." Hurricane Harvey slammed into Texas's Gulf Coast as a Category 4 hurricane on August 25, eventually unleashing historic flooding in Houston and killing more than 80 people. Shortly thereafter, all 5 ex-presidents appeared in a commercial for a fundraising effort known as One America Appeal. In it, George W. Bush says, "People are hurting down here." His father, George H.W. Bush, then replies, "We love you, Texas." A website accepting donations, oneamericaappeal.org, was created with 100% of proceeds pledged to hurricane relief. Hurricane Irma subsequently hit Florida and Hurricane Maria battered Puerto Rico, while both affected the U.S. Virgin Islands. Please share this post on Facebook with your thoughts.